Very excited. Been dreaming of this since I was a kid. Grew up watching this game. So just blessed to play, honestly, just another SEC game, another ranked opponent at home. So just very, very excited.
What do you remember about the third Saturday, October as a kid?
Just growing up, how special it was to both parties. Being from the state of Tennessee, and also the University of Alabama being a part of that. Just what a great just what a great tradition with the cigars and always on the third Saturday of October. Just this is what college football is all about. This is what SEC football is all about. Two great teams going at it every year. So just really looking forward to the opportunity.
I know you're a fan of your dad's team, but did you grow up rooting for the Vols, and was there ever an early memory of this rivalry where maybe you were on the other side?
Yeah, of course, like I grew up watching them. Favorite guy was Peyton Manning. I remember my dad playing them. I guess it would have been Derek Dooley's first ever game there. Whooped my dad's tail like 50-0, right? I actually had two memories. One was I was crying in the little locker room right there because I didn't really know at the time that FBS versus FCS how it worked or whatever. So I was like 50-0, like what the heck, what's going on? But the second part was Peyton Manning was on the other sideline. And pregame, I walked over there, and I asked him, how does it feel to play against your brother in NFL? And I remember like it was yesterday. He was like, man, it's really hard, but it's fun. So that's one of my favorite memories as a kid, good and bad. But just great to be a part of that.
We heard you got after the offense a little bit in the meeting. Caden let us know about that. Can you sort of walk us through what brought that on?
Yeah, I think it's going to stay between the offense, but I just kind of told it how it was, how I felt as a leader. It's my job to make sure that I get the best out of guys, and I get the best out of myself. And I just felt like the last couple games we hadn't executed very well in some things. So I just wanted to make sure that the guys understand. What the standard is here and what the standard is of this offense. But yeah, I won't keep that between us.
How do you evaluate where you can get better? What are the big things pointing this first what you're looking for?
Yeah, I can get the ball out quicker. Understand that just because they're bringing some type of pressure, right? I got to understand. I can get the ball out quicker in the flat and on my checkdowns. I can not take as many sacks. When I get out of the pocket, right, understand situational ball better on third down, instead of waiting on the big ball, just kind of taking what they give me, just some things like that. I got to clean up, but it's also disappointing because it's easy stuff, you know what I mean, and I got to make sure that I help my teammates, in that type of aspect because they count on me for a lot of stuff, and I'm not executing that. And I'm putting us in a bad position, so. Yeah, I feel like in the past, right, that's kind of what kept me from playing to a certain extent. We always talk about going 1-0 here, just because of what happened. I think about the Vanderbilt game's a perfect example, right? First drive, go all the way down there, throw a pick. They go score. I can't just sit there and dwell on the pick, right? Like, we got to keep going, got to keep punching. But, you also – look back and understand like all the experiences that you have from playing, coming back watching the iPad, right? Just understanding, everything, because everything's just every play's a new learning type thing. You know what I mean? So you just live and you learn, and make sure that you got to keep punching.
Ty, when asked Coach Grubb about your throwing mechanics and kind of what he wants to improve, you mentioned like throwing on the run, but he also mentioned like a quick pout with the left hand before each throw. Is that something that is natural to you? Is that something that he wants gone or like
yeah throwing on the run, I gotta make sure that I'm more accurate in that aspect, just because I kind of rely on my athletic ability a little too much. And the pat comes from a baseball background, pitching, shortstop, whatever position you can think of in baseball. Just kind of how I grew up throwing. It's hard, to be honest. We do a lot. I do a bunch of drills, and I also know that he talks about the next level all the time and how DBs are a lot faster and the the pat is just a half second quick enough to where they can break up a ball or they can intercept it. So I need to definitely work on that, especially with the RPOs and other things like that.
What kind of goes into, is that just a mental thing?
Yeah, it's a mental thing. It's a mechanical thing. But at the same time, right, it's just trying to complete balls. So if it happens, it happens. But I can't just think about it in the game like, oh, don't pat the ball, don't pat the ball. I'm just playing at that point.
What positions in baseball did you play?
I played center, shortstop. I pitched. I caught. Played third. I mean, a little bit of everything. Yeah, I enjoyed baseball a lot. I'm a huge baseball fan.
Did you see that double play last night?
Who?
The Brewers and the.
Yeah, the Dodgers. Yeah, Dodgers won. Freddie Freeman, man, baller.
The ball's coming in your hand on all 3 4th down attempts. What does it say? A, that you have an offensive coordinator that trusts you that much, and then also trusts the offense to go for it in those situations.
Yeah, it means a lot, right? I feel like that. Them trusted me to get the ball, give me the ball in that position, right, with the game on the line is huge compliment. But it's also, a huge compliment to the offense that one, we can, withstand in the pocket, withstand the pass rush, and 2, make plays on the outside like, Lightsir Brooks did on that 4th down. But I think about all the times that led up to the 4th down. You know what I mean? Like the sack, the MA on a screen, just easy stuff like that we can avoid, and that's what we got to stop.
Talk about using your athleticism. Do you love those kind of rollout plays where it's just 2-on-1 against the defender and you can kind of backyard it?
Yeah, absolutely, right. You look at the Chiefs yesterday at the Monday Night Football game, right? Like Patrick Mahomes, that's kind of what he does best with the Chiefs. Andy Reid, and those guys do a great job of just getting Patrick out in space, right, and getting those guys the ball. It's kind of, one, it gives the defense another thing to worry about, and then 2, gives the fast guys a lot of space to go work. So.
I just talked to Tim Keenan and asked him, is there any chance y'all will line him up at fullback and put Proctor at running back? And he said, we'll see. Is there any sort of discussion in practice?
Yeah, there's something in the works, and we're just going to leave it at that. So, yeah.
He says he hasn't thrown the ball yet, though.
Nah, he's not going. He's not going to either. I've seen the way he throws.
Ty, what have you seen? There's obviously been a lot of attention on you as an Alabama starter, but what have you seen from Austin and Keelan over the past few weeks?
First off, right, I mean, like, those guys are grown tremendously from the time that Austin's got here last year to Key's time in the spring, right? Like, super proud of where they are. I think about when I was their age, and they're light years ahead of where I was. Just how mature they are, how much ball they understand, how talented they are. One, having confidence in your starter is huge, but having confidence in your second guys is even more of a compliment, right? And I have extremely confident that if something were to happen to me, that those guys would execute it at a high level. So just really, those are my brothers, man. Like, just super proud of them. And I can't thank them enough, honestly. Like, those are some of my boys, and it's my job to make sure that I can mentor them in any type of way.
What makes Tennessee's secondary so vulnerable?
I honestly don't think they're vulnerable at all, to be honest with you. They do a lot. They're good up front. They'll play man. They're physical. And they move around. They're fast. It's just like an SEC defense, you know what I mean? They're going to cause chaos. They're going to, they're going to blitz, all types of stuff, right? So we got to be on our P's and Q's, and, got to be disciplined with everything, right? Because they're going to bring, every type of thing they got at us. We just got to make sure that, we make plays, right? Because their offense is going to make plays with how tempo they are. We just need to understand it. We need to do our job. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good defense. I'm pretty sure they're like number 1 in sacks, number 1, turnovers and touchdowns, right? So we got to protect the ball, but I don't think they're vulnerable at all, to be honest with you. I think they're, one of the top defenses in the country.
That's the base.
Do you feel like this wide receiver room is equipped enough to go against a top defense like that? This wide receiver room has skill sets like no other. They each bring a different kind of skill set. What have you seen from them that you feel like it's good enough for them to give them?
Well, yeah, I feel like that, I have the best wide receiver room in the country, to be honest with you, right? Not only from the the players in general, but how deep they are, right? Really, really, really proud of how far Lightyear Brooks has came. Proud of Rico Scott, Derek Meadows, guys like that. I think of how far Jalen Mbakwe has come. Coming from DB to wide receiver, right? Jalen Hill, like Cole Adams. He people don't understand it, but like him, filling that onside kick in the game was very underrated play. And then the guys like Germ, Ryan, Zay, just everybody like that, right? It's hard to defend when everybody thinks we just have one guy. No, we have about 8. You know what I mean? And so being able to get the guys out in space and, spreading them out and being able to throw to a bunch of guys like that, like I'm extremely blessed, and they make me look good. You know what I mean? And then, not talking about the guys up front with the O-line, and then, you have Josh, Danny, Caleb Edwards coming along, like, just the whole group in general, and makes it hard for guys to cover us. So
Thanks, Ty.
awesome. Thank you, guys.